A very good morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, back with you in 2023. Happy New Year! We frequently offer that greeting by rote, with no connection between the words and any deep meaning. Now, I know what we mean when we wish someone Happy New Year, but what exactly do we mean when we use the word happy? What do we mean by it? Some people think happiness is possessing serious money. Well, I know people with plenty of money who are miserable, and some who have taken their own lives. On the other hand, in my line of work, not to mention my upbringing and social circles, especially of my childhood and youth, I've known poor folk who have nothing except their dignity, hope, joy, and happiness. And by far the most generous and cheerful people I know are those who have less. So, lasting happiness is not really in money or those things money can buy, is it? You couldn't read Confucius, Aristotle, or Socrates without discerning before long that for them, the source of happiness was spiritual, within the self, rather than in the situations of life, in the service of others, more than in self-service. In much of Asian thought, nirvana, that is the ultimate state of happiness, is thoroughly spiritual and ethereal. And not surprisingly, in African thought, according to African scholars Rose Muthuri, Flavia Senkubuje, and Charles Hongoro, quote, "The two ways the African people derive meaning and happiness are through the collectivist culture of communal bonds and believing in a higher supernatural being," unquote. Shades of "it takes a village to raise someone" and shades of Ubuntu, where I see me only when I can see you. Now, all of these perspectives of happiness do correspond with a list to which I have referred most of my life and which in turn has influenced where I look and what I do to find happiness. It is a counterintuitive list, meaning, at first, a shallow-thinking or uninitiated person unfamiliar with the culture out of which this list emerges and unfamiliar with the person who listed it might think that this is the perfect recipe for sadness instead of happiness. Here is that list. Happy are the poor. Happy are the hungry. Happy are those who weep and mourn. Happy are the meek. Happy are those who pursue what is right. Happy are those who show mercy. Happy are those who possess integrity. Happy are the peacemakers. Happy are you when you're hated, excluded, insulted, and rejected. It's a hard to believe list. It's a list people would refuse and from which they'd resile, until they know that each listed item bore a flip side, and that the list possesses as much a contrasting and relative nature as it does an absolute one. For example, someone might ask, how could a poor person be happy? Well, relatively speaking, isn't it better to be poor rather than a lottery winner, given the evidence that lottery winners nearly always end up worse off than they were before they hit jackpot? Is it not better to be poor than to commit illegalities and shenanigans that so many people do to get rich and end up in prison, some even murdered by those whom they fleeced? So yes, this list carries a flip side that announces pain for those who are greedy, rich and greedy, well-fed and unconcerned for the hungry, abusive and out of control evil seekers, lacking integrity warmongers, and who do everything to be liked, accepted, elected, and celebrated, even if it is the vilest of acts, words, and positions. A list with such a flip side soon clarifies that the sullen-looking side that is presented is in fact the better and happier side. But wait, there's more. Accompanying each item in the list is the reason such persons are happy. Each reason related to a sense of inner peace, inner control, contentment, and a connection with a spiritual perspective that exceeds and supersedes the current misery that would otherwise make lesser humans suffer and sad. Now, people who know the Bible know this list as the Beatitudes reported on in Matthew and Luke's Gospels. Our world has sold itself out to a fake happiness that is as disappointing as it is temporary, a smoke screen and a mirage secured by shortcuts, backstabbing, greed, dishonesty, ethical poverty, denigration of the other, elevation of the self, and other ugly choices that lead to hatred, imbalance, inequity, instability, disquiet, wars, murder, and other scourges that threaten everybody's happiness. If you shall make 2023 a happy new year, choose this list and its reasons rather than the destructive flip side to which too many people gravitate. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.